Boom, we are live. What is going on, beautiful people? My name is Leo Valentino, and today we are talking about capacity and building your capacity as a man. And so I'm doing something a little bit different today. I have a Zoom crew with me with these incredibly awesome people because I realize on this show I've been talking directly to myself, testing these messages and having a lot of fun. But I coach and I teach substantially better when I have actual people that I am talking to. And so they're over there. You can't see them, but sometimes I'll bring them on here. So hello, hello, crew. Good to see you guys. So I've been thinking a lot about capacity and how much us as men can carry because every single man, at least ones that we know, want more. They either want more in their health, they want more money, which is a big topic for our generation, is that they want to make more money. They also want to have more in their relationship. They want to have more energy. They want to have more. And so I want to talk about what it means to have more and how to actually have more in your life. Because there's a couple of questions that have come up in my own life over the past couple of weeks, which is, am I ready for the things that I'm praying for? Like, am I the guy that can carry the weight that comes with running, a multi seven figure business or leading a God fearing relationship? Like, am I that guy yet? And this topic came up because this week I didn't feel like that guy. Like, I didn't feel like I had the ability to carry the weight. I didn't feel like I had the strength, the mental strength, the spiritual strength, physical didn't really go into it because most of my work is virtual, but just the strength overall to carry all the things that I have going on. A little bit of context: if you don't know, I run a 15-person team in my business, and also ministry, and then there's relationship, and then there's other things that are going on. And sometimes it gets really hard to carry all that weight. Um, and so it's just been a thing I'm pondering. And so while I don't have all the answers, I don't promise to have all the answers. I want to at least talk about it. I have a group of guys here with me that I want to talk about it with. And I want to introduce you to the idea of capacity. So, what does capacity mean? Capacity is, write it down if you're taking notes. On this show, I want you to take as many notes as possible because I promise you these things will change your life if you really implement them and really contemplate them. Capacity is what you can carry without breaking. How much weight can you carry without breaking, without burning out, without falling over the edge, which, many of you know what that feels like when you have such an overwhelming week and so many different things are going on and so many different, you know, things are on or are your responsibility, you kind of break down. And so we're going to talk about how do we actually build that capacity. So type in the chat, whether you're on live or whether you're on my folks over here, type in the chat 1 out of 10. Where do you think, how full are you in terms of capacity? 10 is like, I am overloaded. I cannot handle what's going on in my life right now. There's too much. I am overwhelmed. 1 is like, it is a breeze. Like, am I even working? Am I even doing anything? I've got so much time on my plate. I've got such a filled cup. I can do so much. Just type in the chat what it is. I'm gonna look at what you guys are putting in there. I see a 6. I see a 6 or a 7. I see a 8. I see a 5. Okay, and then let me check the other crew here. I see a 4. I see a 7. Okay, so I'm seeing different numbers here. I'm seeing different numbers. I am currently sitting at a good 7 right now. I feel very overloaded at the moment, um, but I think I know why, and I'm going to talk about it here in a second. There's a book called The Way of the Superior Man. Has anyone ever read it? Guys, have you guys read it? I know I sent it to Josh one day. For no, Ricky, have you guys read it? It's a great book. It's by David Data, The Way of the Superior Man. And it basically is a series of different chapters that taught me at the time when I wasn't yet how to be a man. It teaches you mentally, spiritually, physically how to develop yourself as a man, how to get over habits, how to kind of see relationship. And as a disclaimer, I don't know and I don't think everything in there is biblical. I know what I always want to do is back things up biblically here, and that's the type of life I'm trying to lead. But it's a great book overall. It got me out of a space when I was struggling in my life. I was getting out of a relationship, a long-term relationship, and it was not a good relationship, but I also was not a good man. I was insecure, very, very insecure, like physically insecure, but also mentally insecure. And my like ego and my cockiness overrode the fact that I was insecure and I just didn't want to tell anybody. But that book, it kind of slaps you in the face. Like it gives you a nice big slap of like showing you who you truly are and how much of a man we are, which is not always a fun topic to talk about. But there's one chapter that talks about your edge. And so let me make sure it's the right one. Hold on. There we go. I'll go back to those reflections. So it talks about your edge, which is this chapter number 8, lean just beyond your edge. I'm going to read this. In any given moment, a man's growth is optimized if he leans just beyond his edge, his capacity, his fear. He should not be too lazy, happily stagnating in the zone of security and comfort, nor should he push far beyond his edge, stressing himself unnecessarily, unable to metabolize his experience. He should lean just slightly beyond the edge of fear and discomfort, constantly in everything that he does. And so, what is this saying? There is an edge, pause. There is an edge that each of us have. And every single day we are pushing closer to that cliff. I'm going to call it a cliff. All right. And that cliff continues to, whether you can imagine or not, continues to grow further. So you have more and more capacity, more and more ability. I'm going to put some of these comments up there so you can see what type of people we have in this crew. We have more and more of a capacity that we build. However, what this book is saying is that you need to find that cliff. You need to find where that edge falls off, and you need to be there constantly so you can continue growing and developing your capacity. But it also says, don't go so hard to pause. Don't push too much to fall over the edge, because that's when you burn out and that's when you fall over. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to build your capacity, but also what is killing your capacity. And then we'll go back to this section for a minute. So there's a couple reflections I want to have with you here. First of all, reflection number 1, where do you break first? Like when things are getting overloaded and you're getting stressed out, where are you breaking first? Is it your mind? Like mentally you're breaking down, emotionally? Is it your body? Like your body is responding in a way that doesn't want to move. You don't want to get out of bed. Is it your spirit? Like spiritually you feel broken down, you feel tormented, you just feel off, like your stomach's kind of responding in a weird way, or is it your will? Which one is it? Samuel says mind. Josh says body. Ricky's saying mind. Bella's saying mind. For me, it's also the mind. Like my mind will start to break down a little bit, and my mind will start to battle the thing that I'm trying to get done. And because my mind responds that way, my body's like, okay, mind says he's tired, so I'm going to be tired now. And then it starts to become very, very difficult. Okay. For no is mind. Got it. So think about this first, and let's hold on to that fact that it is your mind or your will or your body. The next reflection is what would break if every single one of us have a 5-year vision or a plan or a goal or something that we're praying towards, like we're praying for. What would break if God gave you what you're praying for tomorrow? Some of you guys want a new house. The mortgage might be, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000, 12,000, depending on what kind of house you want. Some of you guys want a God-fearing relationship, which requires a lot of prayer, a lot of time, a lot of consistency, a lot of love. A lot of us want more mental capacity. Which, how do we build mental capacity? You got to be put through pressure, right? So if God was given all of these things to us, let's just say clients. If 100 clients, for you business owners, if 100 clients came to you right now and paid you money, what would break? If 500 new clients came into my life, a lot of things would break. Systems would break down. My team would be stressed out. I would be stressed out. And this is kind of what's happening now in my business, is that business is good by the grace of God. Thank you so much. And we're seeing a lot more happening, a lot more action happening. And my systems weren't ready for that. My mental system wasn't ready for that because it's requiring me to be a much better leader and carry more weight, but my capacity is full at the moment. It feels like it's full. And so I'm needing to build some capacity right now. I'm needing to build some space in my life because I also have to lead my relationship. I also have to lead family. I also have to lead my business and my ministry and multiple things. And sometimes it feels like that. It feels like it's all on me. And really, it doesn't have to be all on you. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to talk first of how do we really develop that? Okay, let's do one more reflection. All right, which is the same thing. Can you handle what you're praying for? Are you the person that can handle what you are praying for right now? I wanna test this, guys. So I'm doing a thing where, again, if you're coming in late, I have a Zoom on the side with a couple of my guys here that are willing to be open and honest about their scenario, what they're going through. I would like to bring one of them up right now, and you guys help me test out the audio. Okay, because I don't know if you guys will be able to hear him, if it'll be double, whatever it is. But we're going to do this. Oh, hey. All right, I didn't mean to choose for no right away, but for no, since it's on you, say hello real quick.
What's up, everybody?
Can can on the Zoom? Can you guys hear for no? Okay, and then can everyone on YouTube Live or Facebook? Can you all hear for no? It's a 12-second delay. Okay, audio's great. Perfect. Thank you, Les. For no, part of the reflection question was, can you handle, like, are you the person right now? Are you the man right now that can handle what you are praying for? Like, if God gave you everything, like, what would break?
I think my business would break. My lack of systems in my business would break if I had like 50 clients. And so I need to prepare for that. And what goes through my mind too is like, let's say, I get like 20 to 30 clients, maybe in like a week. I feel like it would almost force me to like change right away because I'd have no choice. So that's something that also goes through my mind too. Like, understand what you're saying of like being that person. And I think there's also times in my life where I am almost forced to be that person. Like, God will put a test in front of me because He's like, dude, you've been asking for this. Like, let's see how you handle it. And then I also understand the other side of like, okay, well, I've been praying for either a relationship or a new environment, um, growth in my business. And I also need to become that leader and the person that takes action in those things and becomes that person. So those are things that pop in my mind on those two spectrums.
What kind of perspective are you able to hold while you're going through very difficult times? Like, do you have an anchor that allows you to kind of keep a good mentality?
I think accountability for sure, like having you guys that have like been down that path and knowing that you've done it before, and having like that anchor of other people to bounce things off of. Because I think if usually when you're in your head, you might think it's like a very um like a very, very hard time, like you won't be able to get through it. But having another perspective on maybe try this or maybe think of things in a different way has helped a lot. And then also just having the faith in God and knowing that what I'm going through right now is like things are just going to get better. And there's a reason why I'm going through what I'm going through and being present and learning through that time.
I think a lot of people are not able to be present in the moment when it's happening. They kind of just they allow the anxiety to put them into either the past or in the future. Like, oh crap, what's going to happen? And so we're constantly worried about tomorrow, constantly worried about what if I do this or don't do this, what's going to happen to me later.
Right.
And you know, I think about how the Bible says, you know, let tomorrow worry about itself because tomorrow has enough to worry about. And so when we're very present, we're very open and receptive to what God's, you know, teaching us and showing us in the moment. And sometimes it's like, oh wow, if I can have if I can be present in this moment and say, okay, I know a lot's going on. I'm here and I'm experiencing this in the moment and it sucks, but I'm going through the experience, right? Life is an experience and whether it's good or bad, I'm still going through the human experience. And then we're able to put ourselves into a quick perspective of let's look a little bit into the future. What is this going to teach me? What is this hardship going to teach me 2 years from now? And how will I react 2 years from now? And you might be able to think and say, wow, what this is teaching me is patience. And it's also building my capacity. And it's also allowing me to uh, handle things at such a level that me currently, I cannot handle, but the version of myself that goes through this season will be able to handle. And so that's a
100%.
that's a perspective.
Yeah. And what goes through my mind when you're saying that is, when we ask for prayer for more patience or more discipline, and God will provide that to you. But when we pray for that, sometimes we don't want to go through the struggle that it takes. Or not the struggle, but the challenge and what
Right.
growing into that more disciplined person, growing into um a person that is more patient, what that is going to take and what things may come into our life um in order for us to become that person.
Yeah, we want the reward without the struggle. We want the reward without struggle. For no, thank you. I appreciate it. Let's keep it rocking. All right. I like that format. I think it's fun. You know, I'm actually talking to an individual rather than just looking at my face the whole time. Okay, so the reflection was, can you handle what you're praying for? Okay. So I want to talk about what kills capacity. Because capacity, again, is how much we can handle. Are you the person that can handle what you're praying for? However, we got to focus on what is killing it. What is destroying our capacity before we talk about what is building up our capacity. And so we have a list here of distractions, right? Uh, we might be focused on something. Just like Fernand said, there's a blessing in front of us that is building our capacity. But because we get distracted in the moment, like a hard time comes and then we text someone or we go onto social media or we mindlessly scroll. And so we're always shifting the perspective into a distracted moment versus actually experiencing the pain and experiencing the struggle that would later get to the reward. And so distraction is something that kills your capacity. Same thing with vices. I talk about it a lot. Lust, porn, weed, scrolling, alcohol. These things are kills. Like they kill your capacity. They kill your ability to think. They kill your ability to grow if you overuse it. And of course, there's some here that are absolutes, I believe. You don't have to believe what I believe. I think that lust, I think that porn, I think honestly, weed as well. They are destroyers to your capacity and destroyers to you as a man and who you're becoming. Now, I heard Charlie say this one day about being a moralist. Being a moralist is like you can never do this. I think with alcohol and scrolling, like like you might take a sip every now and then, or you might have a glass of wine, or you might scroll every now and then. Like for me, I find myself scrolling like maybe once every couple of days. That's okay. Like I'll watch some fishing videos on Facebook. I don't think that's a destruction. But if I allow that to control me, now that is killing my capacity. Now that is killing my ability to grow. But I think for certain things like pornography, that is an absolute. If you are in that space, like if you are in that a mind where that addiction is taken over you, find a brother, tell him what you're going through that actually cares about you, and tell him and just have them keep you accountable and keep him accountable because that is an absolute directive of destroying your capacity. I remember when I was in that space, you know, of course, being a young man at 14, right? You don't know any better. You don't have any man telling you don't do this because X, Y, and Z. And so when I was 14, I remember always being in such a terrible mind space. Every single evening, I was so cloudy and I felt so shameful of myself, which is the third one, shame, right? Shame is this lowest feeling of energy that you can feel. It is like hating yourself. So many people today hate themselves, and it is a sad thing to see because you are beautifully made, right? God created you for an absolute purpose, but because we are going out of the nature of what we're supposed to be doing, we're starting to hate ourselves because we're falling into lust. We're falling into vices like pornography, and we're doing things that don't allow us to be in the present moment and not be in the experience that we're supposed to be experiencing. That leads into isolation. When you are feeling shame, you feel isolated. You don't want to talk to anybody because you don't want anybody seeing the person that you are and seeing what you're doing in your private life. And I know I'm very upfront with this stuff because I know you will understand. It is what you may need to hear. And some of you have already gone over it. You've gone through the vices, you've gone through the isolation. Congratulations. It is a beautiful place to be, I promise you. After that, fragile focus, terrible sleep, and being unfit. These are self explanatory. These are things that don't need to be explained too much, but when you don't have good sleep, you can't think properly, you can't operate properly. And when you do that, you don't want to go to the gym. And when you don't go to the gym and you're not eating well and you're not doing the things, you're not feeling fit, you're not feeling good in your body, and it all starts to cycle. And so these are the things that are killing capacity, that are killing your ability to be more, that are killing your ability to handle more. And so, as we're praying for certain things in our life, you know, a beautiful God fearing relationship, a new home, a business, a success in my finances, those things are owned and carried and stewarded, managed, in other words, by people who can handle it, that by people who have capacity. But if you are constantly in vices, if you're constantly in isolation, you don't have capacity. And so you cannot carry those things that you're praying for until you get past these levels and barriers of becoming the man that you want to be. I can go on and on and on about this, and I think it's well understood. I think it is well understood. I wanna bring up another person. Whoever's open, raise your hand on the crew. Whoever's open to it, give me a hand raise. Okay, I'm gonna bring Ricky up. For now, you're gonna pop up again because it's still on you, but I'm gonna bring Ricky. Wait, what's happening? Oh, I got it. Boom. What's up, Ricky?
There we go.
How you feeling?
Amazing today. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. So we're talking about right now what is killing capacity, like what is killing our ability to grow as men. And I listed a few of them. What is your thought on it? What is kind of the experience, the conviction, the feeling that you have with with capacity being drained from things.
Yeah, I think this is so important and such a topic that resonates with me and hopefully a lot of guys out there. And, 4 years ago, that would have been alcohol and partying and trying to fit in and going with the matrix, right? And it's now that we're past that and we have a new standard, it's all of those other things, pornography and um, just things that silently creep up on you that you don't even notice as much. Um, I think that's really the key thing now is that you are aware, but because you're surrounded in an environment where people are with brothers who are supporting you and constantly holding you accountable, I think that's been a game changer for a lot of us, especially me. I remember our conversation back in November, right? Absolutely just clicked, and I'm so glad to have had that. So, yeah, I think it really is comes down to the vices. What does God want from me? How can I serve others at a high level if I can't even show up for myself in the proper way? How can I? How do I want people around me to show up if I'm not holding myself to the standard that I want, if I'm doing the bad things, the nasty things that I shouldn't be doing? So all of that truly resonates.
You talked about brotherhood and being very, just being able to talk to one another. I know in my life the biggest change was when, Andrew and I started talking about everything. Right. For those of you who don't know, Andrew's my business partner, brother, best friend, and we talk just about every day. Right. And Proverbs, I think it's 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one friend does to another. Right. You build each other up, just like sharpening iron. And I think about that with you, Ricky, in our conversations, just being very open and honest, like talking to each other. I know we do occasionally, like, hey, what's going on? How you feeling? How's everything going? Are you, what are the vices? What are all these things? How has that helped you or assisted you in your journey?
Yeah, I think it's a couple of things. It almost gamifies it in a way of, holy crap, if Leo texts me and I failed at whatever I told him I wasn't, it's shame. I think we should bring back shame. And we joke about that sometimes, but that's motivation, but at the same time, it just becomes a muscle after a while. It's less a motivation, it's more just a habitual thing that you consistently and it becomes your identity. You get ingrained in the behavior that you do want. And I think that's been the biggest thing that's changed for me is since we've started having those conversations, being able to just trust myself and not, you know, fall back into old ways. And then obviously not, get shamed when Leo texts me and I mess up or anything like that.
So let's talk about shame for a second, right? Because there's some people who get very upset with shame. Like, "Oh, I don't want to be shamed." I always say bring shame back, and it's a joke, but it's not, right? Because
Mhm,
because I'm not what I'm not doing is like bringing you here down. That's not what it is. It's simply calling a person up.
mhm.
And I think when we say bring shame back, it's like not truly downing a person. It is just the standards up here, right? Whatever standard you set for yourself. For me and my family, my people, I set a standard up here. And so when I meet people, of course, I know that not everyone's going to meet that standard. Not everyone's going to be at this exact standard. But for people I want in my life, and for friends and for clients and for team, it's like I expect them to rise to that standard, right? And so when I say bring shame back, and when I'm with you, Ricky, it's just that I know who you can be, and it's like I know you can help so many people. I know your vision, I know your goals, right? And so I know that standard for you that you set for yourself is up here. And so if you're falling short, that allows me to be like, yo, Ricky, what's going on? Look at the standard you set for yourself, that you set for yourself, and where you currently are. Right. And that was that conversation, a couple months back. Now I'm seeing you every day. You're hitting that standard. You're crushing. You're becoming that person that you said you wanted to be. How does that feel?
Amazing. I think that's exactly, since we first met back in January, literally a year ago, my life was very different. I didn't have that level of standard for myself. But now that I do have that level of standard, it's growing into a leadership role, leading other people, um, just sharing my story with other people and having that resonate, uh, working within Truca and generating results as well. It's really spread into every single area of my life as a result, and I think it's incredible to see what happens when you truly not only elevate your standard, but hold yourself to that standard every single day. And if you do that for even 90 days to 365 days, your life, you are going to be dramatically different.
I love that. Let's go, Ricky. Let's go.
So,
Thank you. Let's keep going. So that was Mr. Ricky. Um, one day we'll diversify, but right now we got the Asian brothers over here. That's what's happening. Just kidding. We got an Indian in there. We got a Josh. Are you? What are you? Anyways, this is so much better when there's other people because I make jokes and I have like nobody laughs at them because I'm looking at nobody. But now I have other smiles I'm looking at. If you want to hop on to the Zoom next week, just let me know. Okay, let's keep going. So we talked about what kills capacity: distractions, vices, shame, isolation, fragile focus, terrible sleep, being unfit. Yes, you're like Leo. I get it. I get it. I gotta stop doing these things. I gotta be better. Now, let's talk about how do we actually build then that capacity. What builds that capacity? So, work, stewardship, brotherhood, accountability, rhythm, calling, repetition. Let's go into a few of these, okay? When I started my business, I was 15 and I started personal training. I think I was 16 actually. I was selling candy and doing different things at 14, 15. And doing crazy stuff. Story for another time. But when I was 16, that's when I started my personal training business. And I would take people from my school and I would train them. I think I was a freshman in high school and I was actually really scrawny, but I was like, I'm going to the gym and I feel good and I know other people want to do it, so I'll help them. And I would charge $500 for a training session with me. And I built that for a couple of months. And then I moved to another thing and I moved to another thing. I just hustled. I've hustled ever since I was like 11 years old when I first got my first computer. Um, and through that, it taught me so much. It gave me repetition every single day. Just like going to the gym, you go and you work out and you build your muscles and you go through repetitions like you're doing your shebang. And what happens through those repetitions, you start to build strength, right? Progression overload. If you're under the bar, you start with the bar and then you put 5 on it and you put 10 and then you put 20, you put 4, then you put a plate on and then you eventually get to 2 plates. And that's where I'm at. I haven't gone above that yet. But anyways, that was through repetition. That was through every 4 or 5 days a week, going to the gym and building that strength. Same thing happens for our capacity when we work, when we build things, when we show up and do what we say we're going to do, you start to build that capacity. Now let's talk about stewardship. Stewardship, it is basically our ability to manage. Are we managing things well? If you have a certain amount of money, let's just say you have $1,000, how are you stewarding it? How are you utilizing it? Is it all going to waste and going to zero? If that's the case, what happens if you have 100,000? Because if the habits are not good at $1,000, how are you going to have the good habits at 10,000 or 20 or 100,000 or a million? And so I always learn this. I hope you can take this and listen to it. I learned very early on that it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 or a million. You have to steward it well. You have to manage it well. Because how you manage that 1,000 is going to translate how you manage that million. Same goes with anything in life. How you manage the little is how you're going to manage the lot. If you can understand that, study that, write it out, and start to practice that today, you can realize how much you can start to get done with what you currently have. because there is so much opportunity out there in the world. There's so much money being printed and changing hands every day. It's always happening, but it's waiting for you to be a good steward and waiting for you to be prepared to be able to handle that money or handle the relationship or handle the followers or handle the clientele. And that's why, anytime I used to say all the time, I'll start with me. I always used to say, I will start doing X when I get Y. I will start saving once I start making more money. I will start being uh, less lustful when I find my woman. I will start investing once I make X amount. And it's always the fact that you make X amount and then you say, you push it, you push the goal, you push the stewardship. And that's not what you want to do. You want to start building those habits with the little that you have because it's going to make everything so much easier. Brotherhood. As iron sharpens iron, so one man does to another. If you do not have good people around you, you improve and make everyone else around you better. If they do not improve, spend less time. You don't have to cut them off. Spend less time. Go from spending 5 days a week to 3 days a week to 1 day a week. You don't need to spend time with people who are not making you better because you have a mission here on this earth. You have a mission and you need to be around people who want to push you and want to make you better. And sometimes you don't find that person. And that's okay. You make yourself better. You will find your mate. You will find the love of your life. And ideally, that individual wants to make you better because if you're going to spend the most time with that individual, they better be making your life better and you better be making their life better. Same thing with business partnerships. Same thing. These theories apply all across the board to any relationship that you're in. Accountability. This is what me and Ricky were just talking about. I'll text Ricky and I'll just say, hey, how's it going? Are you doing XYZ that you said you weren't going to do? And he knows I'm going to text him. Just like Andrew, just like all the people I have in my life. I will keep them accountable. Why? Because I want them to improve, but also I need that self-accountability. If I'm going to call you out on your BS, I can't be living in my BS. I need to be out of it. And if I'm not holding anyone else accountable, it's because I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And so if we can start looking at our life that way and we set a standard for ourselves. And when you meet other people, you don't lower your standard for them. Why would you do that? Why would you lower your standard for someone else? Keep your standard the way it is. And so anybody else you meet, if you want them in your life, if you want someone, because if they're in your close circle, they're going to influence you. If you want someone to influence you in your life, they have to meet your standard or above. I will never in my life allow someone that is below my standard influence me. Why would I? Say that sentence and ask yourself if it makes sense to let someone below my standard influence my life, my relationship, my business, anything. Absolutely not. Those are standards you set for yourself. You set them high, you set them strict, and you say, this is my standard. And here's the thing, you don't have to scream it at the top of your lungs. You just set it and you live it. The fruits of your life will show the standard you live. People can know, people smell the stuff you do in private. Okay, they know. What you do in private shows up in public. Okay, what you read in private shows up in public through your conversations. These principles reign true across all angles. Rhythm. This is your consistent routines. They don't have to be perfect. However, just like myself, this week was a tough week. Who else had a tough week this week? Anyone else have a tough week? It was a tough freaking week. I don't know why. And I felt my capacity low. I felt my discipline low. And my rhythms were off. My sleep was off. My prayer was off. My gym was off. Those things were off. But I still have a rhythm. I still have a set ideal time for when I wake up, a set ideal time for when I go to sleep, and I have expectations for myself. I want to read the Bible every morning. I want to work out every single day. Those are my standards, and they fit within my rhythm. Now, here's the beautiful thing. If you wake up late one day, do not throw your entire rhythm out. The reason it's a rhythm because it's not always one tune. It's not always one way. You can change the rhythm. Instead of working out for 60 minutes, go for a 5-minute walk. Instead of a deep, in-depth prayer and reading the Bible for 60 minutes, like I want to, read a passage and pray over it. Rhythms allow you to not skip a day. Rhythms allow you to really be that person. Like you live that life. It is the lifestyle versus the challenge or the doing it just to show other people. So rhythm can be a similarity to your lifestyle. Okay? Calling. Every single person here has a calling. No matter what you believe, no matter what you feel, no matter what you think you're going through, you have a calling. You have a gift. God gives you gifts in this life to steward, to go out and build the kingdom. We might hear it so often as, what is your purpose? Hey, what is your purpose in life? What are you here for? What's your mission? All those things relate into what your calling is. And so often, I don't know if you guys feel this. I want to bring someone else up in a moment. When you're living in your calling, it seems that things just align. Like you don't have to, the gears kind of just get, how do I say this analogy, right? The gears just kind of flow. Okay. And I'll explain this in my life. When I was in a different business, I was actually in an Airbnb business and I was teaching people how to do Airbnbs. But for me, all I knew how to do was do the education process for it. And I was partnering with 2 other people that were doing the Airbnbs. But I knew it wasn't my thing. I knew that these weren't the right partners. And every day was a hassle and a drag. Every day was tough because I didn't believe what I was doing and I didn't think it was my calling and I didn't think it had anything to do with my mission. In hindsight, it led me to where I am today, but it was tough. When I partnered up with Andrew and when we started building together, it was so much more aligned because Andrew, my business partner, had the same mission and same values that he wanted to help build the kingdom and help build other people. And so we were aligned there. But in addition to that, the calling, the purpose of the business was aligned with me. And so every day I was excited to wake up and build this thing. I was so excited. I got up and I was ready to go. I was so excited. And all of a sudden, content started to work better because I was passionate about it. And they felt that passion. And all of a sudden, my team started to build because they could feel that alignment. They could feel that passion. They could feel that realness, that true authenticity. And so when I'm talking about calling, that's what I'm saying. It is finding what you are truly meant to do and doing it at the highest level, doing it every single day, being the best at it, trying your best at it, because like I wrote here, it will increase your tolerance for pain. Okay, that's really what we're doing here. We're increasing our tolerance for pain. We're increasing our capacity. But when we do what we love, we are willing to take the hits. When you do what you love, you're willing to take the hits. Okay? Repetition. We said this in work, but I'm going to say it again. Repetition. Doing things over and over and over again start to build calluses. And when you build calluses, you build mental toughness. I'll say that again. When you build calluses, you build mental toughness. You want to build mental calluses. If you're working out, you start to, anyone have calluses on their hands? I think everybody on here has calluses, right? Because you work out and you go through that initial period of time where your hands start to get a little bit cut up. But then what happens after it gets cut up? You start to build calluses. You start to build thicker skin. And so what happens after that? You can start lifting heavier weight and it doesn't hurt as much. We're building to pain tolerance. The reason we go through things, the reason we have repetition is so we can have a higher pain tolerance. If you want to become more, or if you want more, rather, become someone who can carry more. If you want more, become someone who can carry more. There's something I want you to think throughout the day today and hopefully this week before we have our next session together because it is a it is a bright time. It is a bright time to build. It is a bright time to be. And there is, I promise you, so much light ahead of you. Like I was listening to a worship song, like "Brighter Days Are Ahead," and it felt like a tacky song. But then I started singing it out loud, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, brighter days are ahead." I think about Fernot, who literally just moved to San Diego this yesterday, and he sends me a thing that I need to respond to, which was a beautiful sunrise, and I just know. Look at. Hold on, let me just bring Fernot back up here for a second because Ricky, it's gonna show you again for a second, but it's okay. Oops. You know what? That works too. Look at
Wait,
this sky that Fernot's in.
is
There,
that
that is beautiful, dude. Are you in your apartment?
no, this is the like top part of it, the
Of your
community area.
apartment, though, right?
Yeah,
Fire. So Fernot came from Seattle and just moved to San Diego, and it reminded me of you, Fernot. Like brighter days are ahead. There is,
literally.
yeah. Every single one of us. I want you to say that to yourself. Brighter days are ahead because there is, and as we are now getting this type of information to be able to develop ourselves and grow and increase our capacity, your prayers as they become answered, right? You will be the person that is able to handle them. And then it's a new season of life, but that season will be brighter. Talk to us about real quick about like how you feel being in San Diego after this move. I know you've been through a crazy transition for the past couple of months.
Yeah, I used to be a woman. Just kidding.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, very grateful. Obviously I sent you guys that message. Just grateful overall for all the people that I've met this past year. Like I think your life can change a lot in just a year. And I think before I didn't realize that. It was more like a figment of social media that I would see. And I didn't really think it was possible until started taking action on it. Like I look back and I think we chatted about this before. The person that I was last year and all the things like my business growth and the growth in all the other areas of my life, like it didn't take that much action. I think what took the most time and action was not taking action. It was like the time period between what you know you should do and when you first do it. Because I think in between that is fear and procrastination and distraction. But then when you start to take that action, afterwards it's really not that scary. And you're like, oh, okay, that wasn't that scary. Now on to the next thing. And it provides you that other door. But going back to your question, yeah, overall I feel amazing. Feel very grateful and I'm excited to curate an environment, meet new people, and just grow my business a lot more and grow my relationship with God more. Um, yeah, feels good.
What are you gonna do for no to build your capacity to be able to handle the things that you're praying for?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think changing my environment was key because, like you said, the things that would stop me from um, reaching my capacity is like distractions or uh, isolating myself, vices, and I've set like a system and an environment for myself to not allow those things to happen. Um, but also building the capacity is just doing the work that I know needs to be done, um, which is like marketing for my business, becoming a better leader, hiring, and I think being on my own and being in this space allows me to be a better steward, almost like forces me to be a better steward with my money. So I'd say those are a couple things. There's definitely some other things that I can do to increase capacity in other areas, but I'd say those are some big things. And just realizing that there's more capacity to be had. I think that just having that awareness is good. Because when we had that conversation and you asked me like, what do you think your capacity is at? And I was like, dude, to be honest, it's probably like 30% or 40%. And there's so many other things that I could do to make that to like 70% or 80%. And now it's doing them.
If there's one thing that you could tell younger Furno about like your capacity and how much you can handle and who you're becoming, what would that one thing be?
It's not as scary on the other side. There's the things that you're fearing and what you're procrastinating on. God has amazing things, and I wouldn't say it's always rewards, but God has things for you on the other side of that fear and that change, and like you've that saying, like the change that you're looking for and the breakthrough that you're looking for is on the other side of the work that you're not doing. And I wholeheartedly believe that because I've seen that firsthand this past year. And it's not perfect. It's always a battle. I wish it was just like, okay, I've reached the point and I don't have to do any more work, but it's just never like that. It's there's always another test. So it's just continuing to stretch myself, like you said, to edge myself and do the and just do the work and continuing to grow myself in those areas.
I love it. Thanks, Nizzle.
Thank you.
While you're up here, I want to bring I want to do one more live thingy majiggy. Josh, are you cool? Are you cool coming on for a second? All right. Nizzle, I'm gonna trade you for Josh. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Boom! Look at that. What up, dude?
Hey, hey.
Hey, what's the biggest takeaway rolling through your mind right now when it comes to your capacity? What kills it? What builds it? In your experience, what's rolling through your mind?
You just got to do it.
Do what?
Don't, whatever it is that you think is going to be hard, you got to just push through it. Because, yes, when you reach the other side, is you put in your reps. Your muscles are bigger. Your mind is stronger. Your emotions are probably stronger as well. You know how to deal with it the next time that it comes around if that problem comes back.
Was that lesson easy for you to learn, or was it very difficult?
It was easy when I surrounded myself with the right people. It was difficult when I was just dealing with it alone. But when I had some guidance or just some like, you got this, a push, a little push, and accountability, maybe a little bit of shame.
Let's go. Bring
Because
shame back.
that's what shame is, right? It's accountability. You feel like you didn't hold up to somebody's standard that they thought of you.
Hmm.
And they're not shaming you, bringing you down. They're saying, come on, man, like, I know you can do it. And then they help you up. And you're kind of like, oh, yeah, you're right. But also, thank you. And then you climb together.
That's right.
Still.
That's right. You feel like your standards have increased for yourself and for your life and for others?
So much.
Good.
So much. The past year, Fernell said, so much can change in a year. And I never realized that before either. I met you and Fernell in January last year. And the amount
Wow.
of things that happened. Yeah, it's been a full year.
Crazy.
It's amazing. Once you have that perception of like all the things that you can do with the right people, the right community, the right guidance, the right sleep schedule, routines,
The
you could
basics,
do
right?
so much
Like the
for yourself. Yeah,
basics.
exactly.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you, Josh. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it.
Congrats for no, by the way.
Congrats, Nizzle. It is an important lesson for all of us to just be reminded of. Like, one thing I always say, or Andrew always says, is give what you most need. And what I needed is this training more than anything else. Of like, I need to improve my capacity. I need to make sure to be on par and, just get that perspective, right? Of like what you're going through that's hard right now. It is what is training you to have the prayers. And sometimes when you ask God for something, he puts you through the lesson. He puts you through the forge and you come out as a stronger version of yourself. And I want to close with this picture. It's a very basic picture, but I say it all the time. You can do so much. There's so much you can create. There's so much you can build, but sometimes we try to build the whole thing in one day or the whole thing in 1 week or the whole thing in 1 month. But in reality, how much we can build today is just a few blocks in your castle. But guess what? The next day you'll build a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then all of a sudden you got this castle, you got this beautiful life, this lifestyle, this relationship that you are so, so, so proud of. But do not get down on yourself just because the whole castle's not there yet. It never comes in one day. It never comes in 1 month. You have to build yourself up. And that's the lesson. That's the lesson. I'm on here every single Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I now have an amazing crew with me that I want you to be on. And so I'll give more information of how you can be on that Zoom so I can pull you up and you can answer some of the questions and ask any questions you have. But I appreciate you guys so much. If you enjoyed this show, if it gave you even one tiny little thing to think about, share it with a person that needs it. Share it with a friend that needs it. The format will continue increasing and this ministry will continue to grow. All right. Have a beautiful, fascinating, incredible day. And I will see you next week. Peace.